Right, 20 minutes before 7 o'clock here on Morning Live. Thank you so much for staying with the show. Now, yesterday, South Africa woke to the news of the immediate suspension of the South African Revenue Service's SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane for what was said is a bad leadership and deteriorating confidence in the institution and in public finances. Following this, Treasury announced the appointment of Mark Kingon, a long-standing SARS official, as the acting commissioner. Mark joins us now live from our studios in Pretoria just to talk to us about his vision, of course, and his plans to take the institution further. Mark, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through, and I suppose congratulations.
Thank you, Pelisa, and it's good to be with you on this Human Rights Day, for us to share in this day where we celebrate and look at human rights. I think it's important for us at the outset to say this is what tax does. It allows us to have our rights, and that's an important facet for the South African Revenue Service.
It certainly does, Mark. Now, sentiment is that your knowledge of the institution will make it easy for you. I mean, we've seen your appointment in that acting capacity as being largely welcomed by the stakeholders. Do you really think it's going to be an easy ride for you? I mean, there's a tax hole of about 40 billion rand to fill.
Pelisa, no, it won't be easy. But the issue is that both myself and obviously my exco, we are committed to do what is right. And I think that is something that we are committed to do. Look at everything and just do what is right. Ensure that the fiscus has got the money that it needs to fulfill its obligations. Obviously, it's an acting role for me. It's going to be a tough job. There's 14,000 staff that we have across all our branches, our customs areas. And it's a big ask, but we are committed to do it. I have got background, obviously, in income tax mostly and other tax types, but I've got a very close knowledge of the whole institution, and I'm intending to utilize that knowledge, obviously, to try and develop the institution and go forward and ensure that the government has the resources to maintain our democracy.
Well, certainly 34 years of experience at the institution, I think it's what makes many people have confidence in you. And we know you as someone who has actually gone toe-to-toe with former President Jacob Zuma in a bid to get him pay his taxes. During your years at SARS, would you say there was a point where you felt like there was political interference within the institution?
I can't say that I've experienced that. You know, I'm a bureaucrat and I obviously operate within the scope of law, and every decision that I've taken, we take on the basis of law. And I will not allow myself to be influenced one way or the other. We are committed, and as I said earlier, we're committed to do what is right, and that is in terms of our legislative framework that we operate under.
Yeah, and we do know, of course, that many officials had left the institution, of course, sort of citing strained relations with the now suspended SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane. We heard here on the SABC last night, the former spokesperson, Adrian Lake, was basically saying that he had to leave the institution because he just couldn't, but he's willing to come back if things were, you know, to be turned around. What's your take on that?
Well, very importantly, yes, we have lost skills, and obviously that is of concern to us. But I think more importantly, we've got wonderful people in our organization, people with far more knowledge than I have, far more experience. I've got one of my senior colleagues in the organization, been with us over 40 years. Those people we need to retain. We need to find a way to utilize their skills for the benefit of the country.
Yeah, and really, I think what South Africans want to know, Mark, is what will happen to investigations against the people who have left, like Makwakwa, for example, those who left with unresolved issues?
Yeah. Pelisa, obviously, these are matters that I'm engaging with the Minister on. And I will be meeting with him as soon as possible to discuss how we go forward in terms of all these matters. And obviously we want to get out of the limelight for the incorrect reason and move forward with our primary job, which is tax collection. And that's what we're committed to do. We want our focus to be our mandate, not the other matters that are seeking to distract us.
Yeah, and as you said, that it's not going to be an easy one for you. We do know that for a while now, SARS credibility has been tarnished. How do you plan to turn things around and sort of bring back the credibility that SARS has always had?
Melissa, you know, we've had quite a bit of criticism pertaining to a number of areas. If I deal in the tax area, turnaround times, in terms of VAT refunds, where VAT refunds are flowing to clients, turnaround time in terms of audit queries that are submitted, and other account maintenance and related matters of taxpayers. My primary aim is that each of our SARS employees in doing the job just do the right thing. And remember, at the end of it is a person who is trying to operate within the economic environment. And my plea and engagement with the public, firstly, be honest and upfront with us. To my staff, I am saying, just do the right thing. That's my motto. And do it as quickly as possible, but obviously as accurately as possible.
Yeah, but from your observations within the institution itself, how would you rate the morale of the employees within the institution? Do you think it is as low as it is perceived?
Melissa, we do have some challenges, and obviously being in the media creates a negativity. We need to acknowledge that. I'm not going to steer away from that at all. But, you know, when I go around and I just see, I've been in the job literally 24 hours, just over 24 hours now, having got my appointment just before midnight the previous day. The input that I'm getting from people across the board in our organization is hugely positive. And they are so committed. And everybody says to me, Mark, we're committed to work with you and your ExCo colleagues. Let's get this organization, do the right thing at all times. Let's collect the revenue that is out there, and we're behind you. We're there to do our job. And so I think, yes, there might be some challenges here and there in terms of morale. We're going to be working through that, and we are going to be encouraging our staff in that regard. But we need to get the focus off peripheral issues and focus on our legislative mandate.
Yeah, and Mark, just the information that you have currently at your disposal, there were initial reports indicating that Mr. Tom Moyane has apparently refused to resign. I mean, we know the latest saying that he's considering taking legal action against the president. What do you know about this case? What's the latest? Well,
as we sit here today, obviously you must remember that the commissioner, Mr. Tom Moyane, is appointed by the president, very importantly. So it's not an appointment by the minister, and obviously the prerogative of the president is to deal with this matter. It is not for me as acting commissioner to deal with the matter. So the matter's between them at this point in time. Obviously we will be cooperating as and when need be in terms of the process, but it's a bit too early to comment beyond that at this stage.
All right. No, we'll leave it at that, Mark, due to time constraints, but thank you so much for coming through, and all the best going forward. I know that in 2 weeks' time you'll be meeting with the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Finance in Parliament, Mr. Kassim. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, and it's good to be with you.
Thank you so much indeed. Well, there you have it. Mark Kingon is the newly appointed acting commissioner to the South African Revenue Services, of course, following yesterday's suspension of Tom Moyane. You can talk to us about this. Share your thoughts on at SABC News on